3 things you should absolutely not do as a young sports videographer or photographer. Pete Gottschalk here. If you're new, content producer at Major League Baseball, and in today's video I wanted to talk about 3 things that have popped into my mind recently, and they're 3 things you should absolutely not do as a young videographer or photographer. Now, of course, these aren't the only things you can't do. You absolutely can't go punch someone on the sideline. Like, of course not. There are infinite things you should probably not be doing, and in turn, there are also infinite things you could be doing to help your career and get into sports content. But today we're gonna talk about 3 mistakes I think that a lot of young content creators make to try to get into the sports industry. So one of my first things that I wanna talk about is don't just DM for credentials. Now you might say, oh Pete, that contradicts what you always say in videos. You need to be networking, using social media, reaching out, right? I know a ton of people say this who are high up in sports content to reach out and network, but just DMing for a credential or asking someone if you can shadow them for a huge NFL game or MLB, World Series, whatever, isn't gonna get your foot in the door. And why is that? Well, if I get a direct message from someone who is like 18 years old, a freshman in college, from a school in the Southeast, and they're like, can I come shoot Braves games with you? Like, no. Like, most likely that is just not gonna happen. 1, because I don't control the credentialing, and then 2, if you're just gonna send me a DM straight off the bat asking for a way into the building, it makes me feel like I'm being used. Right? So like, I think if you want to DM people, reach out to me. Of course, if you reach out to me, I love it. I try and reply to everyone, but foster a relationship with that person, whether it's myself or another content creator you aspire to be, or in a position that you aspire to be in. Ask them how they got there, ask them for tips, ask them for advice as you go through your career, rather than just being like, hey bro, can I shoot a Braves game with you? Like, that's as a first message, that is just insane. And I don't want to ever help you, really, truthfully, honestly. So unless there's some sort of extenuating circumstances, don't just DM for credentials or to shadow someone. Make sure you are building a relationship with that person, asking them questions, and as you go on, they'll probably help you more as you get better and better and improve your skills. And this goes for videographers and photographers. So number 2 is submitting your portfolio that includes ripped footage, or edit reels that include ripped footage. What do I mean by that? That is, if you are applying to an internship or a job and you submit something that you edited, but the footage is ripped off Instagram from a team without credit, or another videographer for that matter. I understand some of y'all are young and you want to get into this industry. You want to break in with your favorite team or league or college, whatever, and you don't have access to shooting those events, so you want to use other people's footage and show off your editing skills, however good they may be. But ripping footage is just not the way to go, especially if you do not credit a person. It just looks pretty unprofessional if you're gonna rip footage off social media. But look, there might be some circumstances or some unique things in there, like if you're such a good TikTok editor and you wanna show those things off. But definitely if you're applying to jobs and actual teams, make sure you preface that this footage is not yours, okay? Don't just submit it like it is yours, if that makes sense. I understand that if you're applying to internships or jobs, you may have worked on a project that does include other people's footage, and that's completely fine, because if you're on that team, let's say you go to Florida and you work on a football video and there's 5 different angles and you want to show that edit off because you're proud of it, that's completely fine. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just like openly ripping videographers' footage off their own social media or the team or leagues, and then just including it in like your portfolio without credit or anything, or no regard, really. I think a lot of people will find that kind of not offensive, but just like not professional. I know at least that's how it makes me feel. So keep that in mind when you are submitting reels and edited projects that you're proud of. And number 3, please, 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 if you're brand new to sports photography or videography, please don't go buying the most high-end gear to start your career. And there's a few reasons for this, a few reasons I believe this. First off is that now the quality of camera only marginally makes a difference when it comes to engagement, especially, and sometimes it doesn't matter at all. I understand that you're going to be getting a much higher quality image if you spend $5,000 on a camera rather than $1,000, but ultimately, is like the average viewer or whatever fan of the team that you're making content for really gonna notice the difference? And number 2, the cameras that are smaller nowadays are just insane. You've been able to get crop sensor mirrorless cameras like the A6600, A6400, and these shoot 4K high frame rates, and they're just really good cameras, and they have log and color profiles and mic inputs. Like, these are things that are very essential to, of course, making content, but the learning curve on the menus and operating the camera itself is gonna be a lot easier than if you buy the Canon C80 with the most high-tech inputs and codecs and everything. It's just gonna confuse you, especially if you're brand new. Stick on the smaller side, shoot with a small crop sensor camera, an old DSLR, a point and shoot like what I'm shooting on right now, the Canon PowerShot V1, or shoot on your phone for all I care. You'd be shocked at the stuff we have go viral and the cool edits you can make with phone footage, really. So those are my 3 tips. Those are 3 absolute don'ts for young photographers and videographers. If y'all have any more, if you're an experienced videographer and you're watching this, please drop down below some things that, some common mistakes that you think people might make as young videographers or photographers. Definitely drop it down in the comments. Trying to build a community here, and I want everyone to kind of feed off each other and help each other. That's ultimately the goal of this channel. And I want to have fun with y'all. Just overall good vibes on this channel. So I appreciate y'all for watching. If you have any questions about what I talked about in this video, let me know. Always reach out to me. Of course, don't be scared, but just don't go asking me for credentials or if you can go shoot the All-Star game, because I'm not going to be able to get you that credential. I promise you. Appreciate y'all. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.